For decades, Americans have welcomed Craig Melvin into their living rooms with a sense of familiarity and trust. His voice is calm, his posture steady, his questions thoughtful but never intrusive. In an industry fueled by urgency and spectacle, Craig has built a career on something rarer: quiet credibility. But what viewers rarely see is the weight carried behind that composure. Because strength, especially the kind Craig Melvin embodies, is often forged not in front of cameras, but in the stillness of private moments, moments shared with the people who matter most. At the center of that world is his wife, Lindsay Czarniecki. Lindsay is no stranger to the spotlight herself. A respected journalist with a long career in sports and broadcast television, she understands the demands, the schedules, and the emotional toll that public-facing work can quietly extract. Together, Craig and Lindsay have navigated life as a partnership built on mutual respect, shared ambition, and a deep understanding that not everything worth carrying needs to be explained out loud. And like so many couples in midlife, they have faced challenges that didn't come with press releases or public statements. There are seasons in life when strength is not about dramatic declarations, but about showing up day after day without asking for recognition. For Craig, that has often meant delivering the news with steadiness, even as life behind the scenes required equal parts patience and resolve. Those close to the couple describe a period marked not by crisis, but by quiet adjustment, the kind that doesn't stop the world, but subtly reshapes it, the kind that asks couples to listen more carefully, to slow their pace, and to recalibrate priorities without ever announcing that something has changed. Lindsay, by all accounts, became the quiet anchor during those times, not by stepping forward publicly, but by stepping inward, by managing the unseen logistics of family life, by protecting their children's sense of normalcy, by creating a home that remained calm and grounded even when uncertainty lingered in the background. For viewers in their 60s, this story feels familiar, because by that stage of life, most people understand that challenges don't always arrive with drama. Sometimes they arrive as questions with no clear answers. Sometimes they arrive as adjustments to routines, energy levels, or long-held expectations, and often they arrive silently. Craig never brought those moments to air. He didn't let them seep into his delivery or alter his presence. If anything, viewers noticed something else instead: a deeper empathy in his interviews, a softer cadence when conversations turned personal, a steadiness that felt earned rather than rehearsed. That kind of composure doesn't come from avoiding hardship. It comes from walking through it with intention. Lindsay's role in that journey has been essential, though largely unseen. In long-term marriages, especially those that span demanding careers, love often expresses itself less through words and more through consistency, through shared glances, through unspoken understanding, through knowing when to speak and when not to. Friends say the couple learned to communicate without dramatizing, to acknowledge difficulties without allowing them to define the household, to protect joy fiercely, even when circumstances required caution and patience. There's a lesson in that for anyone who has lived long enough to know that life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. At this stage of life, resilience looks different than it did in youth. It's not about pushing harder, it's about choosing what truly matters and letting the rest fall away. Craig Melvin's continued presence on morning television reflects that evolution. He is still professional, still polished, but there is an added layer now: perspective. And Lindsay remains beside him, not as a supporting character, but as a partner who understands that the strongest marriages aren't built on perfection, but on endurance. Their story isn't about a single event or revelation. It's about how two people navigated uncertainty without surrendering stability, how they protected their family from noise, how they allowed life's quieter challenges to shape them rather than break them. For an audience that has weathered decades of change, loss, love, and reinvention, this story resonates deeply, because it reminds us that dignity often is silent, that courage doesn't always announce itself, and that sometimes the most meaningful battles are the ones no one ever sees. Craig Melvin's calm presence on screen is not an act, it's the reflection of a life lived with restraint, partnership, and grace.
And alongside him, Lindsay Czarniecki's steady influence reminds us that behind every composed public figure is often a private bond, strong enough to carry what words never could. And that, perhaps, is the truest measure of strength.